back to the word of the week. This week's installment is brought to you by Mr. Wessling, and his word choice is resilience, which is a noun. And of course, a noun is a person, place, thing, idea, or in this case, a state of being. So, resilience has two possible definitions depending on what you're talking about. So, you can have a person can have resilience, which is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties or toughness. An object can have resilience, which is the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape or elasticity. So, a person can have resilience, a rubber band can have resilience, but just like with unprecedented coming from the word precedent, resilience has another form of itself, resilient, which is obviously an adjective. So something can be resilient or it can have resilience. So it depends on how you use it in the sentence. When something is resilient, so like a person or an animal, it's able to withstand or recover quickly from difficult conditions. And a substance or an object, if it's resilient, it is able to recoil or spring back into shape after being stretched, after bending, stretching, or being compressed. Maybe by the end of the Word of the Week videos, I will be able to read through paper backwards. So what does it mean to be resilient or to have resilience? Well, what we want to think about is primarily the first definition, when a person has resilience. And to have resilience means that you know how to cope in difficult situations. If there's something that happens to you that is unexpected, unprecedented, if you experience a setback or some sort of barrier, if you are able to overcome that, if you're able to continue to work through that barrier, work through that setback, that's what it means to have resilience. Somebody who's resilient is able to process whatever it is they're feeling, deal with whatever the setback is, but not get mired down in it, not get stuck in the bad place just because something happened that you weren't expecting. It comes from the word resiliens, which is part of the Latin word to resiliere, which means to recoil or rebound. So it means to spring back. So obviously when an object springs back, it probably has been designed to do that. But people often have to work at being resilient. You have to practice resilience. You have to take you have to work at it. You have to want to do it, and and it's hard. Being resilient is hard because sometimes it's easier to just go to sleep when you're upset and just like lay in your bed and not deal with whatever it is that is causing your setback. But strong people are able to practice resilience. And I know that every single one of you is strong emotionally and physically. Edith has a lot of resilience. When our friend's cat JJ was living here, Edith was very upset about it. But then JJ died and Edith was able to bounce back from her sadness about being with another cat. So your job this week, your word of the week task, is to think about a time when you had resilience, when you were faced with a setback, and you had to be resilient. You had to do something, or maybe and oftentimes being resilient is like not a one-time thing. It's like an ongoing, it's something that you have to do continually, especially if the setback that you have faced is particularly traumatic. So I want you to think about a time when you've experienced something that has allowed you to be resilient. I want you to celebrate your resilience because not everybody has it. And if you do have it, that means that you are strong and you're doing something well. So I want you to think about a time when you were resilient, and I want you to write about it. If you can work unprecedented in there some way, that would be great, but you don't have to. And if you don't want to write about yourself, you can write about somebody else who's been resilient or who you've been really impressed with their resilience. So try to use both forms of the word. Try to work both resilient and resilience into your description so you can practice using nouns and adjectives. And next week, of course, is spring break, so there's not going to be a word of the week next week, but check back in on April 13th, and we will be back here with a word of the week. If you've got a word that you'd like to recommend for the word of the week, please send me an email. As always, I miss you. Take care. Stay safe. Bye.